to talk NFL football and coaches.
Yeah, Jim Harbaugh, man, he is in the spotlight all week, and maybe is he coming to the NFL?
Everybody's asking him that question. And Harbaugh's response this morning in Ann Arbor, I am not talking about rumorville. I'm talking Michigan, Washington. At the end of the day, he becomes the hot candidate for whatever number of coaching jobs might be open. There's 3 right now. There could be as many as 3 more on Monday after the NFL season is officially concluded. Chargers have had this opening for a long time. I think you have to connect the dots based on what he has accomplished. 44-19, head coach, 49ers. 75-25, head coach, Michigan Wolverines. 53-17 in the hated Big Ten. That's quite a resume. Now, question marks. Are the Chargers willing to pay him state-of-the-art money? $12 million per season? Historically, they've never done that. Are the Chargers willing to give him complete player personnel authority on roster decisions? They've never, ever done that. Who becomes the general manager if Harbaugh becomes the head coach and director of football operations? He would be answering to Harbaugh. What happens to, thanks, Dad, for the job, John Spanos if Harbaugh comes in the front door? Does John Spanos become Harbaugh's subordinate? Another question, as Harbaugh views the NFL, payday, Justin Herbert, what about the $60 million dead money salary cap? They are paralyzed. Whatever team Harbaugh would inherit is not the team that they'd hoped to have on the field this year that would have been a playoff team because they got real problems. And then there's the intangible history. As good as he's been, starting at USD, going to Stanford, on to San Francisco, and even in Michigan, is a history that he wears people out emotionally. And it always kind of ends badly, and he moves on. Sometimes he leaves wreckage behind. And then the wild card question, if not him, Dan Quinn, defensive coordinator, Dallas, Jim Schwartz, defensive coordinator, Cleveland Browns, Ben Johnson, offensive coordinator, Detroit, Frank Smith, offensive coordinator, Miami, Raheem Morris, defensive coordinator, LA Rams. There's some veteran guys out there. Some would view them as, give them a second chance. Some would view them as retreads. So, John, you tell me, connect the dots. Does this make sense? This guy with this red-hot resume coming to take over the irrelevant Los Angeles Chargers?
Well, it makes sense, but we're talking about the Chargers here, and that usually never makes sense. But you know, when we were talking about that game at the Raider game, and Spanos is up in the skybox, all frustrated. The story was apparently that he and his group, his family, just said, we've had it up to here with Brandon Staley and Telesco, and they just pulled the plug on everything. Do you think maybe, just maybe, they're coming to their senses and said, all right, let's just hire Harbaugh. Let's just go for it for once and for all. Or are they just going to be cheap and try to find a way to finagle away from getting a big name coach?
What's their track record of late?
Yeah.
I mean, Staley, Anthony Lynn, Mike McCoy. What's their track record with successful coaches? Marty Ball, Boss Ross, Hall of Famer Eric Coryell.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a track record there to say, I trust these people to make the right decision. But things have gotten so bad, and they are taking such a terrible beating nationally, you got to wonder if maybe they say, okay, let's try something different. Now, add into this conversation, you got Mark Davis and the Raiders, who always go after the shiny object. Harbaugh is a shiny object. There will be an opening for the rich new owner of the Washington Commanders. And I got to believe Josh Harris will look at Jim Harbaugh. You got the Carolina situation where they have the young quarterback in place, but there's a massive rebuild there, and you're dealing with a crazy man in owner David Tepper, who's already fired 3 head coaches and 3 interim coaches in a short period of time. So there'll be other people out there. So if I'm Jim Harbaugh, I have to look at who's going to give me the best opportunity to win based on potential? And by the way, what's their track record? Well, there's no real track record with Team Spanos' first family of football. There's a horrific black hole record with Mark Davis, Raiders, Oakland, in Las Vegas. Crazy man in Carolina. Look at that resume. And you got the new owner in Washington who's got a history writing checks, Josh Harris. So I think the Charger job is the best job, but can you trust the first family of football to do anything correct based on their history?
No, you can't trust them at all. And that's why they're going to screw this up some way, somehow. But I've been reading online, sometimes it's like clickbait, but they're saying Harbaugh's representatives have already met with the Chargers multiple times. I mean, do you think that's true?
I think so, because he's not meeting with them. And by the way, they can meet with him anytime. He's a college football coach. He's not in the NFL. It's a different set of standards. Now, they do have to interview minorities, and they will take some time to interview minorities. But sadly, that's a terrible thing to say. It kind of becomes a token interview for a black assistant coach or a coordinator to visit the Chargers when that's the hot candidate. I'll be fascinated to see. By the way, he just hired Don Yee, NFL agent, to represent him. So yeah, if you connect the dots, I bet there have been some conversations already made, but the Chargers do have a protocol they have to walk through in terms of the interview process. So if you're an NFL fan, if you're a Charger fan, if you're a Charger hater fan, Harbaugh the right fit for the Bolts? Want to hear what you've got to say. We go.